welcome to day two of Solar Week 2022. Again, Solar Week 2022 is brought to us by the Mindanao Go Solar movement, which rallies all Mindanaoans towards a clean energy transition in the region through solar. My name is Grayan Mendoza Orion. Again, this is day two of Solar Week 2022. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this show. And by the way, I'll be walking you through the entire week as we learn more about how great solar energy is for the planet, the community, each household, and even our pockets. We're very excited today because it's Technical Tuesday, and we're going to get down to the nitty gritty technical details about solar generated electricity and solar energy. Now, it's going to be one jam packed day ahead. I would love to talk to you guys about the technical details of solar technology, but I'm going to leave that to the experts. By the way, guys, you can ask our speakers later kung naamoy mga pangutana because it can get a little confusing at times maybe for some or basin na gusto ka ma-enlighten sa imong mga pagtuo about solar energy or basin na kay mga haka-haka nga nadunggan sa silingan about solar energy and you want to clarify things, this is the perfect opportunity aron nga makapangutana ta sa atong mga eksperto. So, di na nato dugay-dugayon pa. Ladies and gentlemen, today's speaker is the program manager for startup development at New Energy Nexus Philippines, where he provides support, mentoring, and technical and strategic insights to diverse clean energy startups and entrepreneurs in the Philippines. Before joining Nexus, he was a scientific officer at the Climate Change Commission. At CCC, he worked in developing national and local greenhouse gas inventories and climate change mitigation modeling. He is a mechanical engineer by profession and is a master's in energy engineering candidate at the University of the Philippines, Diliman. Let us all give a Mindanaoan welcome to Engineer Iborra of New Energy Nexus. Hi, Engineer!
Hello. Thank you for the introduction.
Kamusta, Engineer? How are you doing today?
Okay naman, medyo busy.
All right, Engineer. So I understand that you want to share a lot of things with people watching today.
Yep. I'll be sharing about the basics of solar technology.
Great. Go
Yep.
ahead, Engineer.
Yep. Can someone from the tech please start sharing my slides? And while doing that, thank you for to the organizers for inviting our organization. As I've said, as mentioned in the introduction, I'm from New Energy Nexus, and New Energy Nexus is an international nonprofit organization that supports clean energy startups and entrepreneurs. We do this, we support these small companies because we believe that innovation and entrepreneurship are both important in the clean energy transition. And I'm proud to say that a lot of the companies that we supported in the past are from Mindanao. So very good. Um, the the discussion that I will have is the basics of solar technology. Um, I would like to start by asking why solar, right? That might be the question in your mind because there are a lot of renewable energies, right? Maraming renewable, maraming clean energy technologies, but why do we set solar apart? Why do we focus on solar? Of course, there's a long answer to that. There are many reasons why solar is the best. And I will discuss those reasons later. But suppose I have to answer why solar in a few sentences. How do I do that? So in a few sentences, I will borrow this quote from Andrew Birch, who is the founder of Open Solar and Sungevity. And he said, I think solar is the most simple and beautiful energy technology, and it is really magical. And I agree with him. If you're not convinced, though, don't worry. We'll answer it thoroughly. Why solar? I will give you four reasons, and those four reasons are um, because solar addresses four grand energy challenges. Uh, for me, there are four grand energy challenges, and these happens globally, not only in the Philippines. These are energy access, energy security, the environmental effects of energy use, and energy cost. I'll go through this one by one. Let's start with energy access. What is energy access? It's called also called energy poverty, and you know that a lot of families and communities, especially in developing countries, also in Mindanao, have no electricity or has limited electricity. And when you say limited, that means they do not have electricity 24/7. So some of them might only have 4 hours, 8 hours, or 12 hours, right? How big is this problem? Well, globally, 750 million people are still without access to electricity. And there are three regions of interest. So Southeast Asia is one, but also a bigger problem in sub-Saharan Africa and also in South Asia. So focusing on Southeast Asia, uh, in Southeast Asia, around 45 million are without access to electricity, and this number is around 6 million Filipinos of course in the Philippines. So why do we need to address this? Well, because access to electricity is a major barrier to improve the well-being and to eradicate poverty. That's kind of self-explanatory, right? If people do not have electricity, they cannot have good education, they cannot have good healthcare, etc. So energy affects all these uh, things that improves their well-being. So solar can solve this. Why and how? You know that the grid extension to remote communities, because these areas na unelectrified, malalayo to. So doing grid extension is not economical and not feasible. So in the past, the solution that has been done is providing diesel generators to these remote areas. But we know that diesel generators are not the best solution, right, to these off-grid areas. So because diesel generators are expensive and they are polluting. So what's the answer? So the answer are what we call distributed renewable energy systems. And there are two types. There are two solar based na distributed renewable energy systems. So I'd like to focus on those two: solar mini grids and solar home systems. These are good alternative solutions because obviously they do not emit harmful emissions, and they are also um, better in terms of cost. So that's energy access. The second problem is energy security. We know that energy is essential in the functioning of the modern society. However, traditional energy sources such as your coal, petroleum, and natural gas, they're not evenly distributed, right? So, like for example, petroleum is concentrated in the Middle East, coal is concentrated in Indonesia, Russia, US. So this uneven distribution causes vulnerabilities to some countries, right? So some countries that do not have rich resource, fossil fuel resource, might become vulnerable, right? So here are some threats to energy security: political instability of several energy producing countries. So if the suppliers of energy are experiencing political instability, then that's a problem to us na nagre-rely on those energy supplies, right? Manipulation of energy supplies, it also happens. Competition over energy sources, attacks or accidents or disasters on supply infrastructure can also happen, and reliance on foreign countries. All of these things can cause disruption in our energy supply and security. Um, we want to be more self-reliant. We do not want to be reliant on exports, right? So currently, according to the Philippine Department of Energy, our self-sufficiency in terms of energy is 56%, and that means 44% of our total energy supply comes from exports. So obviously we want this 56% to be higher and to be as high as possible. So solar can also solve this. Why and how? Um, First, because solar is renewable, and renewable energy is considered indigenous, and indigenous means it's not uh, imported, right? So because solar that arrives at our country is indigenous energy supply, so we do not rely on other countries for the sunshine to come to us, to our country, right? So second reason is that even though some countries do not receive enough solar, you can argue that the distribution of solar is better than the distribution of fossil fuels. What I mean is that fossil fuels, only a few countries um, have access to those resources, right? So as I mentioned earlier, so petroleum concentrated in the Middle East, etc., etc. But solar is more evenly distributed, right? So a lot more countries can access solar. So that's better in terms of um, fairness, as you can say. Therefore, anyone who relies on solar does not have to rely on other countries' fossil fuel supply. Okay, so that's the second one. The third one is the environmental effects of energy use, and this is a very big thing right now. One aspect is that when you burn fossil fuel, it releases air pollutants, particulate matter, carbon monoxide, oxides of nitrogen and sulfur. But the other aspect and the bigger concern right now is that when you burn fossil fuels, like your coal, natural gas, and petroleum, it releases greenhouse gases, and we know that greenhouse gases is the one causing climate change. So, how big is the problem, or how serious is the threat of climate change? Um, there's this organization called the IPCC, or the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. So, this is an organization composed of climate scientists around the world, and what they do is they produce reports on climate change. So they have a recent report just released last year. So IPCC reports are very important, and people in the climate change and energy community are looking forward to these reports. So the recent report, they said that it's only possible to avoid warming of 1.5 to 2 degrees Celsius if massive and immediate cuts in GHG are made. So what does it mean? It means that first of all, what's this 1.5 to 2 degrees Celsius? So this is the target of the Paris Agreement, right? So this is the target na we do not want to have a temperature increase beyond 2 degrees Celsius. So as much as possible, we want our temperature degrees to be temperature degree increase from 1.5 to 2 degrees Celsius. But current projections show that mukhang hindi natin ma-achieve yun. Mukhang more than 2. Possible pa nga na 3 or 4 degrees Celsius warming. And that will cause a lot of damage in the earth. No? So the IPCC reports, going back to the IPCC report, is saying that we cannot achieve this unless we do massive and immediate cuts in our greenhouse gas emissions. And the people are saying that the sixth IPCC report is a horror story. This is the sabi, one of the quotes says that this is the starkest warning yet of major inevitable and irreversible climate change. But don't worry, solar can solve this. Uh, why? Well, first, because solar doesn't have emissions. When you install solar, it doesn't have greenhouse gas emissions. It doesn't have particulate matter emissions. It doesn't have carbon monoxide emissions, etc. Some people argue na it's not totally zero because they will say that there are emissions along the supply chain. So, for example, when you produce the solar panel, there's emission included there. When you mine the silicon, the mineral used in the panel, there's also emission there. So that's true. But if you look at the whole life cycle, so the IPCC did this. So this is the chart that I'm showing below. So the life cycle CO2 emissions, so meaning the emissions over its lifetime, over the including the emissions in producing the materials needed. If you look at solar, it's fourth here, 41 grams per kilowatt hour. It's still way, it's not zero, but still way below uh, compared to coal and gas, which are your fossil fuels. So solar emissions from solar in life cycle analysis method is 12 to 20 times lower than fossil fuel emissions. Okay. So solar can also solve the environmental effects of energy use. The fourth one is energy cost. Although some countries do not experience this, some countries very cheap yung kanilang electricity, but this is a problem in the Philippines because on average we have one of the highest electricity cost in Southeast Asia. I'm saying on average because obviously electricity cost differs from region to region depending on your electric cooperative or distribution utility. Why it's important to reduce electricity cost? Well, it's directly linked to poverty alleviation, right? Because if poor people has to pay more for electricity, then they do not have that. They reduce their spending capacity on other things such as education, food, and shelter, right? So it's important to solve energy cost. Why solar can solve this? So because solar has become very cheap right now. So here's the IEA. IEA stands for International Energy Agency. In their World Energy Outlook in 2020, they said, and I quote, the world's best solar power schemes now offer the cheapest electricity in history with the technology cheaper than coal and gas in major countries. So the cheapest electricity in the whole history of the Earth. And the utility scale solar PV has the lowest levelized cost of electricity, as you can see in the next slide. So I will show it in this slide. On the y-axis is your cost of electricity. On the x-axis are your different technologies. No? So the first one is PV rooftop solar PV small, PV rooftop small with battery, etc., etc. So the higher it is, it's a range, by the way, because obviously the price varies according per region, per technology, right? So it has to be a range. So the price can be anywhere that bar chart. As you can see, the gas turbine on the right, it has a very high cost. And if you look at which ones have the lowest cost, you can see PV utility scale is the lowest one, and the others PV rooftop are also has also a very low uh, levelized cost of electricity. Uh, all right, so solar is very cheap right now, and there's a what do you call this? There's a misconception that electricity from solar is expensive. Have you heard that misconception? That was true in the past, but it's not true anymore. Solar nowadays is one of the most cost-effective energy sources that we have. I'd like to share with you these two charts. The one on the left, let's focus on the one on the left. If you look at the orange chart, the orange one shows you the cost of solar panel per watt. And this shows that in 1975, the cost of solar panel is $101 per watt. And in 2017, it's now 37 cents. It's a exponential decline in the cost. And in effect, in effect, as a result of that, yung installations of solar has also increased exponentially. That's the blue one on the right. As you can see, the number of installations globally also increased, and that makes sense because if it's cheap, then renewable energy developers will use it. The chart on the right shows you the prices of different energy source from 1949 to 2012. And you have 5 charts here. Henry Hub is natural gas. US bituminous coal is coal. Brent is crude oil. LNG is liquefied natural gas. Solar is obviously solar. Most of 4 of those 5 is just almost constant, right? As you can see, there's one ridiculous looking line, and that's solar. This steep downward line is solar, and as you can see, the reduction in prices of solar is plummeting. Okay, so I discussed four reasons why solar is um, is the best, one of the best renewable energy sources that we have. So it solves energy access, energy security, environmental effects, and energy cost. If I may add one more, there's also the component of job creation. According to the International Labor Organization, renewable energy has demonstrated a job creation effect. Energy created through renewable energy have a higher number of jobs created per unit of energy produced than energy produced through conventional uses. What that means is that on a, let's say, on a per megawatt basis, but let's say same megawatt, same capacity ng mga planta, solar will have more um, job creation, more employees than conventional energy. And according to IRENA, the International Renewable Energy Agency, solar PV remained the top employer among renewable energy technologies, accounting for a third of the sector's workflow. You can see this in the next slide. There are so many things happening in this chart, but focus on the last column. So on the last column, you will see that 10.98 million jobs are created by renewable energy in 2018. And the biggest chunk of that 11 million is solar. And as you can see here, 3.61 of the 11 million, which means around one third of the total renewable energy jobs is from solar. Okay, so I'd like to change gears and talk about solar energy technology. So when we say solar, it means two things. No? It can be either solar photovoltaic or solar PV, and the other type is the concentrating solar thermal power, or CSP. In the Philippines, we do not have a commercial scale or utility scale commercial concentrating solar thermal power. Wala tayo ng CSP. That's why in the Philippines, when we talk about solar, it's automatically thought of as solar PV. No? But let me introduce these two. So solar PV are the one we are familiar with. These are the ones that you see on the rooftops of homes, of businesses. How do they work? So there are certain materials called semiconductors that produces electric current when you expose them to light. No? So when a semiconductor is hit by a light, it produces electric current, and that electric current becomes electricity. So photovoltaics or PV is this conversion of light into electricity. As I've said, among the two, PV versus CSP, itong PV ang mas dominating. No? So the global installed capacity is more than 700 gigawatts globally. In the Philippines, we have a little bit more than 1 gigawatt. And this will grow more and more in the next few years, and I'll discuss that in a bit. Just two charts that shows the growth of solar. The one on the left is globally. So as you can see, it's trending upwards. The one on the right is in the Philippines. It's also trending upwards. Just a quick one on CSP, the concentrating solar thermal power. This technology uses mirrors to concentrate or focus the sun's light energy and convert it into heat to create steam to drive a turbine that generates electrical power. So ibang method siya, hindi semiconductor. So using the light and then concentrating the light using mirrors to heat water, and that water becomes steam, and that steam drives a turbine to generate electricity. As you can see, the global installed capacity is more than 6 gigawatts, very small compared to solar PV na merong 700 gigawatts globally. Okay, now let's look at outlook. So moving forward, what's the outlook for solar? So IEA, so going back to the aforementioned IEA's 2020 World Energy Outlook, they said that solar becomes the new king of electricity. And I quote, renewables grow rapidly in all scenarios, with solar at the center of this new constellation of electricity generation technologies. And this is because of supportive policies and maturing technologies that are enabling very cheap access to capital in lending markets, etc., etc. So IEA believes that solar will be the dominant technology in the years to come. To add to that, still from IEA, they think that over 125 gigawatts capacity per year from 2021 to 2025 will be added to the total installation. So what that means is that, remember that the current total installation capacity is 700 gigawatts. They think that 125 gigawatts will be added year per year until 2025. So next year, nasa 800 something na. Next year, 900 something. So mabilis lang yung growth nito kasi 700 na so far sa history ng Earth. Tapos 100 plus 125 gigawatts per year, then this will grow rapidly. How about in the Philippines? There are committed and indicative power plants in the pipeline. So merong 655 committed. So pag committed, mas advanced yan. Parang meron na silang power supply agreement. So mas malapit na silang matapos. Pag indicative, these are still finalizing their power supply agreements. So if all of this happens, so if matuloy itong 655 megawatts at 12,000 megawatts, then solar will become 21% of our power mix by 2032. And then by 2032 also, renewables will be around half of our power mix. Also, according to the Philippine Energy Plan, this is my last slide. So according to the Philippine Energy Plan, di ba I mentioned earlier that 1 gigawatt, a little bit more than 1 gigawatt, ang solar capacity natin as of 2020. They think that this will become 19 gigawatts, 19,573 megawatts, that's 19 gigawatts by 2030. So imagine that, 19 times from 1 to 19 that's by 2030. And 2030 is just, what, 8 years from now? And then by 2040, they think that this will also grow rapidly to 46 gigawatts. So the Philippine Department of Energy also thinks that solar will be dominating in the coming years. So this will happen because of supportive policies such as the Renewable Portfolio Standards, the Green Energy Options Program, and the net metering. And that is my last slide. Thank you for listening. I have time later on, I think, for some Q&A.
Hi, Engineer. Thank you so much, Engineer Ralph Ibora of New Energy Nexus. Yes, I have a few questions for you later, Engineer, and I'm sure the people watching have a few questions as well. Thank you for sharing and enlightening us on the wonderful and commendable future of solar technology in the Philippines. Daghang salamat, sir. All right. Since you're now all curious about what systems are currently available in Mindanao, allow me to welcome our second speaker for today. She's one of the founders of S Power Solutions and Trade. She is also a member and chairman of the Electrical Engineering Department of Xavier University, Ateneo de Cagayan, where she earned her bachelor's degree in 2012. In 2017, she received her Master of Science in Electronics Engineering from Ateneo de Manila University. Let's welcome Engineer Christine May Salvalosa.
Good afternoon, everyone. For this afternoon, I will discuss and go over the basics of solar energy and explain where to start if you want to own a solar PV power system. The sun not only provides us with warmth and light, but it is also a source of energy. Electricity from the sun is possible through a process known as the photovoltaic effect. When a PV cell is exposed to sunlight, it generates voltage or electric current. Solar energy is used as an input in this process, and it is converted into electricity by a PV module. It can then power our lights, TVs, refrigerators, and other appliances. However, solar energy is intermittent. When we say intermittent, it is not something that is steady. It is very dependent manggod on weather conditions. Ideally, on a clear sky, the image here on the left side is what you will typically generate from the system. But as clouds pass over, the output of the solar PV system, will change throughout the day. The image here on the right will show us an example of a solar power generation on an overcast or cloudy day, represented by the green line, and then solar power generation on a rainy day, represented by this yellow line. So basin during or from morning to noon, grabe jud kaayo ka cloudy. So munang gamay ra ang na-generate no na power from the sun, and then after that, pagkahapon, there's this increase na dayon of generated power because siguro at this time medyo hayag-hayag na, dili na kayo ingon ana ka cloudy ang sky. Therefore, we can say that power generation from the sun varies. So, when we have less solar energy, we can gather less electricity, and if there is more solar energy, it means there is more electricity from the sun. One of the main components of a solar PV system is the solar PV panel. This device is used to capture the energy from the sun during daytime, and it can last up to 25 years. The basic unit of a photovoltaic system is what we call a photovoltaic cell. When you take a closer look at a solar panel, you can see that it is composed of several squares. So one square is a single solar cell. A collection of these solar cells is called a PV module, or what we all know as a solar panel. A PV array is a number of solar PV panels connected together electrically. This is what we commonly see installed on roofs or solar power plants. By the time solar panels are being sold commercially in the 1950s, it can only produce up to 20 watts and was only 6% efficient. In 2012, for the same size of the panel, the efficiency has increased to 15%, and it can generate up to 200 watts. In 2015, it was already 20% efficient with a 265 watt capacity. Today on the market, we now have solar panels that can generate from 300 up to 600 watts with an average dimension of around 2 meters by 1 meter. This shows the evolution of solar panel size versus its power output. Before, halos magkapareha lang og size pero less efficient. But now, gakadako ang panel, gakadako pud ang iyahang capacity in terms of wattage. There are three types of solar PV panels. We have the monocrystalline silicon, polycrystalline silicon, and the thin film or amorphous silicon. The two types of crystalline silicon cells perform similarly, although single crystalline or monocrystalline cells are slightly more efficient than polycrystalline. Thin film or amorphous silicon is much more inexpensive to manufacture but is only about half as efficient as crystalline silicon cells. The reason why monocrystalline cells or monocrystalline solar panels are more efficient is because of the purity of each silicon wafer that makes up the solar panel. Electrons inside a monocrystalline panel are more free to move around compared to a multiple pieces fused together, which is the case of our polycrystalline solar panel. Therefore, a single piece of silicon can make the most out of the sunlight that will hit it compared to the multiple piece of silicon. The purity of the crystal also helps for very hot and cloudy climate. The use of more efficient panels such as monocrystalline means less panels are needed to create the same power output of a solar PV system that uses polycrystalline solar panels. So if you are lacking roof space for solar panels, then monocrystalline panels will give you that advantage. The manufacturing process for monocrystalline solar panels is more wasteful than the polycrystalline solar panels. Monocrystalline panels are cut from silicon wafers and the corners are shaved off to make the distinct cell shape. So, mura na siya irregular octagon. Polycrystalline cells, or solar cells on the other hand, are blended together from multiple pieces of silicon. So naay different shades here of the silicon. These smaller bits of silicon are molded and treated to create the solar cell. This process is less wasteful because hardly any raw material is thrown out during manufacturing. That is why it is least expensive compared to the monocrystalline solar panels. Another way to tell the difference between a monocrystalline and polycrystalline panel is by looking at their color. Monocrystalline panels appear to be black, while polycrystalline panels look more blue. Another component of a solar PV system is a battery. A solar battery stores electricity for later use, so you can keep appliances running during a power outage or during cloudy weather. With the help of a battery, you can use more of the solar energy you produce at your home and even save money on electricity in some cases. The battery most commonly used for residential photovoltaic applications is the lead-acid battery, which closely resembles an automotive battery. However, automotive batteries are not recommended for PV applications because they are not designed to be deep cycled. They are designed to discharge large amounts of current for a short duration in order to start an engine, while PV systems often require a battery to discharge small amounts of current over long durations. Deep cycle batteries can be discharged down as much as 80%, while an automotive battery may only last for a few photovoltaic cycles under the same condition. Just recently, the use of lithium-ion batteries for solar applications has been explored. This new technology lasts longer and can be put through deeper cycles. It may cost more than the lead-acid batteries, but the extra efficiency means you can potentially spend less per kilowatt hour of capacity over the lifespan of the battery. You may now wonder, when should you install or use a lead-acid battery versus a lithium-ion battery? If you need a battery backup system, both lead-acid and lithium-ion batteries can be effective options. It's usually the right decision to install a lithium-ion battery given the many advantages of the technology: longer lifetime, higher efficiency, and higher energy density, despite having a higher upfront cost. It is very suitable, good for remote areas where you will have to use your backup power frequently. However, one case where lead acid batteries may be the better decision is in a scenario with an off-grid solar installation that isn't used very frequently. So, for example, you have a lead acid battery as a backup power source that is only used every month or so. That would be a less expensive option, no, than using lithium ion. So it really depends on the usage of the consumer. Another component of a solar PV system is the charge controller. The charge controller regulates the current and voltage that is delivered to our appliances or our loads, and then any excess power is delivered to the battery system so the batteries maintain their state of charge without getting overcharged. We usually see charge controllers in a off-grid solar PV installations. We also have an inverter in a solar PV system. The fundamental purpose of a PV system inverter is to change direct current or DC electricity from PV modules and batteries to alternating current or AC electricity. The solar cells or solar panels collect the sun's energy and turn it into direct current electricity or DC electricity. Most homes and businesses these days, however, use alternating current or AC electricity. Inverters change the DC electricity from your solar panels and batteries into usable AC electricity. AC electricity has become the conventional modern electrical standard since it is easier to transport over a long distance. Consequently, most common appliances or loads are designed to operate on AC. By nature, AC and DC are fundamentally incompatible. Therefore, a bridge or the inverter is needed between the two. We have different configurations of a solar PV system. The first one is what we call standalone or commonly known as off-grid solar PV system. This is designed for independent, utility-free, or remote areas. So kaning sa mga bukid-bukid na wala gyud naabtan pa sa mga distribution utility. So when we say distribution utility, mao ni sila si Sipalco, Moresco, Meralco, Buseco kana sila, no. Kani nga setup, it utilizes gyud the use of battery for storage. Diri ginastore sa battery ang gaka-gather na energy from the sun, and then once naka-store na ta og energy sa battery, it can then be used to power, let's say, pagpasiga sa suga sa balay, pag-on sa TV, or pag-charge sa mga kaning electronic appliances. And if we have a bigger setup pag yun, we can possibly power on motor appliances such as refrigerators or kanang gagmay na aircon if dako jud kayo ang ato ang solar PV setup. Another configuration is what we call a grid-tied setup. So this is designed to operate with the utility, but it prioritizes the power produced by the sun. Ay hara mo sulod or mudugang lang si utility kung kulang na ang power na ginahatag ni sun. So let's say pag kanang cloudy ang sky, kaulan nun, so medyo gamay ang na-generate from the sun, so mudugang dayon si Sipalco in our case, no. Mudugang dayon ang utility para mapunan tong kakulangon sa solar. But in case nga excess sa sun, it will be exported via net metering. So net metering will help you minimize your electricity bill. I think an in-depth discussion of net metering will be discussed on Thursday. So kano sa man kakahitabo na ma-excess ang power sa sun. So pananglitan, nagbakasyon mo for let's say 2 to 3 days or a week baka ha, and then walay naggamit no na appliances sa inyuhang balay pero nag-on ra inyuhang solar. So kada na mga time makabaligya ka sa imuhang power from the sun to the utility. So muna siya, isa na siya sa concept pod sa net metering. So kana na mga time, di bali kanang maka-save ka no sa imuhang kuryente. Kay i-offset man na ni utility ang imuhang gisupply na kuryente. However, kanina setup, the grid-tied system can only generate during daytime and it does not work on nighttime and during power outage. Why is that? It's because this setup does not utilizes batteries no as backup power. So purely ano lang gid siya, sunlight lang yun. So during daytime lang gid siya gamit. Lastly, we have the hybrid configuration. This setup is a combination of both grid-tied and off-grid system. The cost of this setup is higher than a standard off-grid or grid-tied system. This is because of the additional cost of batteries and the inverter technology used. But you get to enjoy the advantages of both off-grid and grid-tied system. So, pwede ka makagamit og power from your solar when the sun is up and you can sell the surplus to the power companies. And at the same time, naasad pud kay battery bank that provides a contingency plan no in case of power cuts so that you can still continue to use the power from your solar PV system. Here are a few features and benefits of using solar PV system. First, it is clean energy. You help the environment since it has no gas emissions. A solar PV system typically requires very little maintenance lang pod. If possible, we recommend getting your panels cleaned once or twice a year. Using your garden hose should be enough to rinse your panels and get rid of the accumulated dust or usahay no na ay mga bird poop na gakatagakan ang atong mga panels. Aside from that, you don't need to use fuel or to supply fuel in order for the system to run, making it kanang very low in terms of operational cost. It is also very independent since you can use it in remote areas. So if you live in a remote location wherein it's too expensive or impossible to run power lines to your house, solar power systems generate energy when you can't hook into the power grid. Aside from that, PV panels are very durable since it can last up to 25 years. Moreover, a solar PV system has an infinite resource. The energy from the sun can be harvested over and over again without depleting the source. And most importantly, solar PV system can help us lower our electricity bills. One way is through net metering, where we can sell excess power to energy companies. It can even drop our electricity bill to zero if properly sized or if properly designed. So I guess that ends my presentation this afternoon. Thank you so much for your time. If you have more questions or if you want to contact me, You may do so given the contact details flashed on the screen. We have our company email, my personal email, and my mobile number as well. So, again, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much. That was engineer Christine Salvalosa. I'm genuinely glad to know that, these technologies are available in Mindanao right now. Excuse me. Now, for those who are with us, this is now the perfect time to ask our experts. We have with us engineer Christine Salvalosa and engineer Ralph Ibora. They're going to be here to ask us a few questions. And in fact, nagkuha na ko uban mga pangutana from our viewers today. So I guess, oh, hi engineers. Hello. Mayong hapon. I hope you guys are doing fine. So are you guys ready for the questions?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay. So I have a question here from one viewer. Any of you may answer, or both of you may answer. Okay. So you have mentioned that solar panels may last for about 25 years. Would you consider this a good investment, considering it's a bit pricey? Would you consider this a good investment, and is it worth it?
Um,
Yeah,
so, go ahead, Sir Ralph.
go ahead. Go ahead, Christine. Ikaw naman.
Yes, solar panels are a good investment because right now, as Sir Ralph mentioned earlier, no, Engineer Ralph mentioned, the price of solar panels are plummeting. So, grabe kayo
Mm.
good ang pag-decrease sa price of solar panels these days. And in fact, you can you can have your ROI na dayon by around 4 to 5 years. So
Wow.
it is really a very good investment na yun.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing na. So, mas less updated nga ako. I thought it's about 5 to 7 years. So, because of the plummeting prices, this ROI decreases further pa. So, yeah, I think it's now less than 5 years.
Oh, wow, that's good to know. And another question is, we see prices of fuel going up every single week. So it affects all industries. Food prices go up, electricity goes up, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Do you think that solar energy can help with our transportation woes?
Um, Indirectly, no, because solar right now is not used in transport.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe eventually when we have more penetration of electric vehicles. So right now there's very few electric vehicles in the Philippines, but
Yeah.
the projections are ganun din na it will become dominant in the future. So when you have more electric vehicles and then when you have stations where solar can help charge these electric vehicles, then that's the time that this can help the oil crisis.
Engineer Christine, do you have anything to add?
Wala na, isa I agree with Engineer Ralph with that.
Yes. Well, yeah, personally, I think it would be great if we see more solar generated vehicles. At least we won't have to worry about the news na, oh, add 4 pesos again today, 6 pesos again tomorrow. So,
Right.
yeah, maybe it could even help our farmers one day that, hindi masyadong tumataas yung presyo ng gulay o ng other goods, right? So, maybe in the long run, in a perfect world, I think this would be a great addition to the economy. Well, speaking of, the trend going up, Engineer Ralph and Engineer Christine, you both mentioned that we are adapting to solar technology. Let's say in a perfect world, in a perfect Philippines, how do you think this will look like 10 years from now? How will solar technology readily available now can affect our economy, each household, politics, etc.?
I'll start first. No, I believe in the Department of Energy's outlook. So I presented earlier that around almost 20 times the growth from right now to 2030. So that will mean more solar PV installations in residential areas. This will also mean that more solar PV will be installed in the utility scale, meaning the power plants that produces electricity that and sells that electricity to the grid. Third is more solar PV on businesses, industries,
Mhm.
so the commercial sector. And then fourth is also in the off-grid areas. So a lot of off-grid areas, I think around 300 off-grid areas still uses diesel. I think from now until 2030, most of this will be displaced by solar PV with battery. So that's what I think. I'm very optimistic about solar. So that's what I think will happen in the next couple of years.
We sure all hope so. And the elections are coming up. It's only a few weeks from now, so we
Yeah.
hope and pray that the new set of leaders will be more open minded about solar technology, will fund these projects and support these projects more, not just for commercial use, but also for household use, that even the farthest barangays can utilize these, right, Ms. Engineer Christine?
Yes, right. That's correct, Miss Brian. No? And aside from that, there are also more research nowadays about utilizing solar technology. So as I mentioned by Engineer Ralph Cagina, there is also what we call the CSP technology. I think right here in Mindanao, Ateneo de Davao University is starting to work on that. So we're really positive. As academia side, we're very positive with solar energy.
Well, it's been an honor to have both of you guys here with us, and the work that you do is highly just inspiring. I cannot imagine doing all the legwork that you guys are doing. So, kudos to both of you. Dakan salamat, Engineer Ralph Ibora, and dakan salamat, Engineer Christine Salvalosa. Oh, wow, that was really enlightening, guys. And this in this day and age, information can be easily accessed, but not all the time na kaning mga social media gagamiton sa mga insaktong mga butang. But it's great to know that certain influencers, I would like to call them, have influenced us in a positive way. So ladies and gentlemen, kinahok na manggitang tanan aning TikTok. Many are using this platform for raising awareness on their advocacies about sustainability. And today we'll be joined by a Mindanaoan TikToker to tell us more about their advocacies. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome an applause for Ben John Tribiana, otherwise known as the Almighty Brother on TikTok. Maayong hapon.
Hello, good afternoon po.
Hi, how should I call you?
Any. Actually, they call me bro.
Okay,
Usually
bro.
bro eh.
Sounds
Mm.
good. Sounds good. So, bro, I like that. So, bro, well, it's an honor to meet you. I'm sure you have a lot of followers. We're excited that you're here with us right now. Just a very, very quick discussion, bro, no, about your advocacies on TikTok. A lot of people are using TikTok, for dance crazes and entertainment, and some even spread misinformation and fake news. But you're doing the exact opposite. You're doing awareness campaigns and raising awareness on sustainability efforts. So, what inspired you to go this route?
Um, Actually, ano lang eh. This is actually my ano din talaga. Like, pangarap ko din talaga na maging content creator. So, I pushed it forward and now, nasama na ako dun sa sa parang educational side of TikTok. So, more on love ang aming content for now. But then, nag-transition na rin kami into vlogs and advocacies and other stuffs. Yun.
That's good. And I'm sure daghan gusto mananaw sa atong TikTok, sa inyong TikTok video. So guys, let's watch this. Let's take a look at some of their TikTok videos.
Totoo ba pag sinabi ng isang tao na busy siya, busy talaga siya? Para sa akin, walang taong busy. There's always 10 seconds of your life para mag-update man lang sa taong mahal mo. If busy ka, ayaw mo lang talaga. Pero hindi naman namin sinasabi na parang hindi mo mararamdaman yan. Kasi minsan gusto mo rin ng time for yourself, kaya sinasabi mo na I'm busy. Pero if you're a family man na, you should always consider your family. And that should be your top priority.
Wow, I love that. Self-love, giving time to the people you love. And how many followers do you have right now, bro, if you don't mind?
I think it's around 860 plus.
Wow.
Hindi ko na check, but then parang ganun yung count.
Wow, that's amazing. Round of applause for you, bro. And you mentioned, Kanina, that you will be transitioning to varying your content, right? From what I saw earlier, and then you plan to use this platform for other advocacies. May I know what advocacies you're planning to promote someday?
Actually, same pa din. Like, we'll focus more on self-love pa din. Like,
Yes.
building the confidence of our brothers. Kaya nga, almighty bro kasi it's more like parang promoting, ang tawag nito, like the right of men, parang ganon. And
Yeah.
also maybe we'll add like, ang tawag nito, like this, telling people na, what we should do sa ating ano parang pwede nating gawin para sa ating anong tawag nito sa ating environment and sa ating society, parang ganon. So mostly magbibigay lang din kami ng advices, parang good
Mhm.
vibes, something like that. So parang ganon.
I love that because if you love yourself, I think it has this domino effect that you love others as well because you're so secured about yourself, right? So and then you kind of reflect this to the people around you. It's contagious, the happiness, and you cannot be truly loving yourself if you don't love the environment, right? I think it's a natural thing to love yourself, love others, and love the world you're in, right,
Ano to,
bro?
Miss Universe?
No, di ba? Totoo naman. You cannot say, I love myself, I love my family, I love the community, but you don't take care of your environment. So I think it's a natural thing to love yourself and love the world that you live in as well. Do you have a message to your followers today watching you? And I'm sure they're excited to know more about your upcoming content and advocacies.
Wait. There's nothing in particular for now kasi ang tawag nito, we're in parang work in progress. So wala pa kaming masyadong and actually magpupunta pa lang kaming Manila to have parang ibang projects there. Flight namin tomorrow, and then hopefully we can para makita namin yung ibang fans namin. And for now ang focus namin maybe sa actually, we interviewed people like last week ata. We interviewed people about climate change. And
Okay.
Dito actually sa Jensen, dito kami kasi nag-interview, and then we found out na parang konti lang talaga yung alam nila about climate change and about what other forms of ang tawag nito, other forms of renewable energy na pwede natin gamitin. And hindi pa sila masyadong into solar. They know lang how to like conserve water or something like that. They know like nang nakikita nila sa TikTok about Ecosia, deleting emails, ganon. But then they do not have the idea about renewable energy, like the big picture. Parang ganon. So, I'm actually happy na parang you invited me to be to talk about this, no? About being Mindanao, parang Mindanao Go Solar. Actually, happy ako na ganito talaga yung parang isa sa mga advocacies na parang na-involved kami talaga kasi we're a new creators and then we want to since we're already in the advice platform something, so ayan din makaka-add din to sa aming mga advices to people, like we're giving kasi like positive vibes, advices, like parang medyo tinatama namin yung mga tawag nito, yung mga mali nating mga ginagawa ba. So, that's gonna be on our contents soon. And thank you for this kasi ma-add din namin to about climate change, solar, mga ganon. And ayun.
Well, thank you, bro, for your time. And you're right, no? Ang daming misconceptions about renewable energy, and you're right. Daghan pa yun nga gamay lang ang nahibawan about solar technology. So using your platform to raise awareness about this is very inspiring. So daghan kaayong salamat, bro, and to your team. I understand you have a team as well. So before you go, isa ka advice sa mga gatanaw karon.
Isa ka advice, actually, sa lahat siguro sa mga students lang ako mag-a-advise.
Yeah.
Yung sinasabi ng mga parents nyo na parang study hard, do it. Kasi, actually ngayon parang I was back in high school and college. Parang parang achiever. But then yun nga nagliway ako kasi parang hindi naman totoo 'yan kasi nauso dati yung parang hindi mo kailangan ng mag-study sa sa ang tawag nito, hindi mo kailangan ng college, hindi mo kailangan makagraduate.
Yeah.
But then
Yeah.
if you have the time, if you're still studying, just do it kasi marami kang learning talaga and magagamit mo talaga siya pag nag-work ka na or something na you're already in the real world. Parang ganun. And you can actually parang inspire a lot of people. You can share your, alam mo yun, iba din kasi pagka meron kang marami kang nalalaman. So, like this, kaya nga, actually present ako every day with this ever since kahapon. Like, nagko-comment pa ako, nanalo pa ako ng power bank.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you won a prize. Yeah.
Yeah, oo. Kasi nga, yun nga, gusto kong magkaroon ng maraming learning pa. And yun nga, ang message ko to sa mga young people, kung mag-aral kayo, mag-aral kayo. Yun lang. And pag habang kayo nag-aaral, don't forget to conserve energy. Don't forget that we can be, ang tawag nito, like, maging okay din ang environment natin. Kasi hindi naman tayo ang makaka-benefit 'di ba? For if babaguhin natin 'to sa future naman. 'Di ba? Kasi yun nga, masyadong nang mataas din since ngayon din na wala na masyadong strict So parang biglang umano na din ang parang tawag nito, like gumulo ulit yung parang kasi 'di ba bumaba na ata yung natin, yung parang heat something like 'di ba kailangan natin 3% and then parang wala na. So ayan, yun lang. Marami na akong sinasabi, sa totoo lang.
Thank you, bro, for your time. And I will surely follow you on TikTok. Baka ikaw lang reason na gumawa ako ng TikTok account.
Please do. Actually, sobrang ganda mag-TikTok. If parang narinig niyo yung wala na kami, bro, that's us. Yun yung actually yung pinaka-known namin na pinaka-known namin na sound na nagawa.
Okay. So it's great to know that you guys are using TikTok on a more educational level. Daghang salamat, bro, and we'll see you around.
Thank you very much.
All right, that was Almighty Brother on TikTok. So I'm excited. I'm not on TikTok, so I might just make an account just to see Almighty Bros and other creators advocacies on TikTok. Very, very interesting. And guys, if you just tuned in, we're almost done, but don't go yet because it's time to win some prizes. Now, before that, today is the second day of Solar Week 2022. And like I mentioned yesterday, each day will have a different theme. Tomorrow, Wednesday, it's about Woke Wednesday. It's all about the wise people who have already chosen to wake up with solar-generated electricity. And then there's Thrifty Thursday. I'm excited to know on saan yun nato pagtipid, no? How to be thrifty. How to tipid from solar and also what possibilities are there to finance our plants and go solar. And finally, Feel Good Friday is all the feels and good vibes about doing something for the environment, for the climate, and for overall sustainability. We'll be here until Friday, 3 p.m. onwards. Don't forget to like our social media pages, Mindanao Goes Solar Movement on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. Okay, it's time to win some solar goodies, ladies and gentlemen. You know the drill. I'm going to be posting a few questions on your screens. And if you get the right question, the first person na sakto ang tubag will be getting the prize. Now, if you're not from Cagayan de Oro, don't you worry. We'll be more than happy to be mailing your prizes wherever you are in Mindanao. All right. By the way, you can just send us your addresses on our Facebook page. So, are you guys ready? I see a few people on the comment section now ready for their answers. Okay, question number 1 is the 2 ways on how to convert sunlight energy? Letter A, by using solar voltaic cells, or by concentrating solar energy to produce heat for electricity generation. Or letter B, by directly running a generator. Letter C, by the electricity consumer benefiting from the system. The answer is, do we have any answers? We have Serena Blair. Her answer is letter A. Do we have any answers? Any other answers? We have Sean Katipay, also letter A. Maria Layla, C. We have Love Hemo, letter A. Okay, the correct answer is letter A, by using solar photovoltaic cells or by concentrating solar energy to produce heat for electricity generation. Congratulations to Serena Blair. If I'm not mistaken, she is the winner for the first question. But we have more questions to go, so be ready. Question number 2. What year was solar power officially discovered? A, 1876, B, 1839, or C, 1851? Answers, please. Manisa Dabalos says A. Sean Katipay says C. Do we have other answers? Okay, the correct answer is B. I don't think anybody got it right. The correct answer is B. Solar power was officially discovered on the year 1839. Oh, naadi ay! Na correct. Si Love. Okay, hi Love. Gemo. You have the right answer. Letter B. Congratulations. Okay, next question. What famous scientist predicted there would be industrial solar use using solar power to heat water? Third question, please. Okay, what famous scientist predicted there would be industrial solar use using solar power to heat water? A, Nikola Tesla. B, Thomas Edison. C, Leonardo da Vinci. Again, A, Nikola Tesla. B, Thomas Edison. C, Leonardo da Vinci. We have answers from Saina Bagares, A. Manisa Dabalos, C. Sean Katipay, B. Almighty Bro says A. Hi, bro. Do we have other answers? The correct answer is Leonardo da Vinci, letter C. Yes, we have winners. Congratulations to our all three winners. You have won. Each of you have won a set of solar garden lights. Congratulations. We will PM you via Facebook to get your details, and prizes will be delivered to you. Congratulations to our winners today. Now, thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in for Technical Tuesday. Don't forget our other schedules from Wednesday to Friday. It's going to get more interesting, and we're going to learn more about how to be, utilizing solar generated energy and electricity wisely in the next coming days. And in fact, net metering, sige na siya ibalik-balik. Since yesterday, we're going to be learning that on Thursday as well. So join us, and don't forget to like our social media pages and share the live stream on your feed. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. And We hope that you are filled with hope for a clean and green future. Join us tomorrow for Woke Wednesday. Daghang salamat. It's been an honor. This is Grayan Mendoza Oraya. Have a good day.